I think the story of the first Christmas looked a lot more like crossing borders than a Hallmark movie. That's the thing. The first Christmas is a beautiful story, a story of hope and promise. And here at this Bible study, flipping the script, we flip stories on their heads. This month, we're going to look at the Nativity story through the lens of immigration. And I think the story compels us to look at it as a story of belonging, to notice who God shows up to first. And I'm so excited you're here with me. So, we're going to look at the Nativity story through three scenes. So, let's start with scene A. The people are under Roman rule and Roman Empire, and there is a mandated going to your hometown to be counted, a census. It comes from Luke 2, and it says, in those days, a decree went out from the Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This census was not optional. It was a tool of the empire, and it was about control and taxation. So, people are required to leave home and to travel to their ancestral towns. And Mary and Joseph, they were caught up all in this too. And they were part of this mass movement of people. But Mary was super pregnant. And it is not easy to travel that pregnant. And Joseph is managing logistics of where they'll stay and all that. It's state force movement. It's people displaced not by personal decision, and it's far beyond their control. The story of Jesus begins not in comfort, but under empire rule. So Luke goes on, and we get to scene B, where it says, in that region, there were shepherds living in their fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Shepherds, by nature, lived on the margins of society. And they worked outdoors and away from towns. They had little power, control, agency. Often they were considered religiously unclean. And yet, who's the first to hear the good news? Shepherds. God shows up on the margins. He doesn't announce Jesus' birth to religious leaders or people in power, but to the shepherds. It fits Mary's song that she sings earlier in Luke that God has lifted up the lowly. The gospel begins at the margins with the people the world tends to ignore, and that matters. So now we get to scene C, and we are going to skip to Matthew's gospel, also in chapter 2. After Jesus has been born, an angel comes to warn Joseph and tell him that King Herod wants to kill him and kill his baby and his family. And so they need to take refuge and flee, cross borders. It says, get up, take the child and his mother and flee Egypt. The Holy Family flees. They are refugees escaping violence. This isn't a side note in the story, it's central to this story. From the very beginning, God chooses to enter the world through vulnerability, movement, and uncertainty. So I asked broadsheeter Anna Delaney, who works with immigrants day in, day out, to reflect a little bit on this story. So, Anna.
Hello, my name is Anna Delaney. I work for Community, Refugee, and Immigration Services, CRIS for short, and I'm a lifelong member at Broad Street. I wanted to share a bit about my day to day experiences as well as its parallels between those I work with every day and the Holy Family. Um, as we know, the Holy Family was running for safety and, most importantly, to protect their children and to create a better life from them. And my families and individuals I work with do that every single day. They've been waiting in refugee camps for 10 to 20 years, leaving their culture, leaving their customs, leaving where they're comfortable to flee because they're being persecuted and to create a better life for their children. Um, I think that the nativity scene shows a clear picture of this, showing that God could have chosen anybody, but He chose to enter through a displaced family. Um, you know, I think this shows that immigrants are not at the margins of the gospel, but are truly right at the center of it. Newcomers arrive in Columbus exhausted, unsure, nervous, scared, excited, hopeful, but scared and exhausted. And that's exactly how the Holy Family must have felt when they fled. But through community, that's when they start to feel safe and welcome and loved, and can really start to rebuild their lives. That community support makes them feel so safe, especially right now. My invitation for you today is to remember that the Holy Family fled to Egypt for fear and for persecution. And they fled and they were welcomed. So, my invitation is for you to be the Egypt for someone needing refuge, to extend a welcoming hand, to show them compassion, to show them love, and to show them that we are excited that they are here. So I invite you, be the Egypt for those seeking refuge. Sit down, share a conversation, let the power of humanity come through, and you'll be amazed the things that you learn from our newcomers. They're just unbelievable. So, thank you.
So, as you can see, the Nativity is not a sanitized story. It's not perfect, but it includes this hope for the marginalized, hope for those who live in our broken world, hope for all of us, for me and for you. Thanks for joining in this month to Flipping the Script. We hope that you'll follow us on YouTube for these monthly short Bible studies that help us look at scripture in a different angle. And all I got to say is Merry Christmas.